So it's time to go to the third point of the opening session. This is this panel discussion. What is the SI in IS4SI? Of course, the question is not that dumb. It's not. It is clear. SI is the study of information. Right? It is International Society for Study of Information. So we will discuss how to understand it. What is actually the mission of IS4SI? All panelists are important members of IS4SI, members of the board, vice presidents for some functions of IS4SI. So my idea of arranging this discussion is to basically to present what is IS4SI. So the question is just a little bit like a joke, not a real question. Unfortunately, as I understand, Professor Eugene Zhang has some health emergency, so I don't expect he would join us. Most likely he's, I think, in hospital, so he won't be able to join us. And Jose Maria Diaz-Nafria informed me that he is at some conference in some other city. So he said that quality of his connection may be not very good, but I hope he will be present at our discussion. So let's go to my introduction of the panel discussion. What is the SI in IS4SI? So the goal of this discussion is not to close SI into a compartment of the classification of human intellectual or practical activities by providing a formal definition, but rather to set it free from the limitations coming from the habits of thinking and the use of the word information in the narrow context of specialized disciplines. So in my own view, SI, where of course SI stands for study of information, has a special position as a way to achieve, or at least to reasonably pursue, a great synthesis of human knowledge, as we can find manifestations of information in all domains of human inquiries and all contexts of human life and practice. It seems that more important is the question with the normative character. What should be the SI in IS4SI? Which I want to ask panelists. So this will be my first main question. What should be the SI in IS4SI? And the panelists may agree and amplify the importance of SI as a way towards the great synthesis of knowledge, or may provide alternative perspectives on SI. Someone could object that the emphasis on the synthesis of knowledge, and this person can defend the view that the present existential threats to humanity due to the climate change, destruction of the ecosystem, misuse of technology, especially misuse of information technology for gaining political or economic power, make it necessary to prioritize different directions for SI. I would add to my first question, more specific related questions. How would you encourage young scholars to choose SI as the theme for their study or for their future academic or professional career? Second, how to prevent the perpetual misattribution of the term information science to narrow subdisciplines of SI, such as computer science or communication engineering, which due to the high level of specialization and little interest in the concept of information, should not be consider representative of SI. For me, this example of the problem is, for instance, in Japan, when you say information science, typically everybody considers this is computer science. So when I started to work at my present university, I was asked if I could offer courses in information science. I said, of course, I'll be very happy. This would be actually my additional assignment, but I was very happy to offer a course on information science. But then when it came to specifics, I was asked, what language you'll be using? So I said, well, English. No, what programming language you'll be teaching? I said, no, I'll be teaching information science, not computer programming language. The person who was talking to me was shocked. Well, we thought that you would teach C++. I said, no, if you want me to teach information science, then I'll be teaching information science, not C++. So this was the end of the discussion. And somebody else is teaching information science, which is understood as teaching of C++. So this misconception that information science is teaching, for instance, programming languages or some engineering issues related to computers is in many places in the world is like blocking actual development of information studies. So the question is what we can do. I see the role of IS4SI, one of its roles is to promote the subject of information studies as a clearly one of leading disciplines, not just part of computer science. Then last question, which is in some sense related, is how should SI inform governmental policies, in particular educational policies? Some governmental agencies promote or enforce the naive idea that mandatory classes about computer programming in K-12 curriculum will create an information competent society. So the question is, okay, can we consider this as a first step in the right direction, or rather waste of time and resources? Yeah, so these are like my questions. And I would like to ask panelists to address these questions, or you may provide some other perspective on information science. Maybe it will be the simplest if we just go for alphabetic order. May I ask Joseph Brenner to express his views on what is the SI in IS4SI, or what should be the SI in what should be SI in IS4SI?
Okay, I'll be glad to start off. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Fine. Okay. First of all, thank you, Marcin, and all the wonderful work you've done. It's really inspiring in the best sense of the word to study harder and do a better job oneself. Hello, Pedro. I didn't say hello before. And Jordana. I want to be provocative and helpful at the same time. And I have, though, a feeling that one cannot be neutral. If one is going to work as a group in information science or really for anything else, one has to take a somewhat polarized position. One can't just say that everything is equally good or bad. And I feel this very much about the term synthesis. I think it's extremely important to think in terms of synthesis rather than analysis. in this particular context. And I was ready to suggest a name change to the International Society for the Synthesis of Information, but I knew that wouldn't fly because that's too restrictive. But I think that there should be this feeling of synthesis in as something preferred in the study of in studies of information, and at the risk of turning people off who are analytic philosophers, perhaps. But I think that the time has passed for that kind of thing. The world needs more synthesis than the opposite. Oops, something happened here.
Well, we can see you.
Okay, I see you again. There was something in my machine. So I really have nothing specific to say. I am outside the academic community, and inside the academic community, I see the enormous pressures for specialization, and I regret them. I think that the emphasis that you have, Marcin, especially at this conference, for bringing in sections on art is extremely important, but it has to be managed. I just came from, in quotation marks, an enormous conference on transdisciplinarity, the Third World Congress on Transdisciplinarity. And I found it extremely difficult to grasp. There was papers were there of all kinds of different qualities, to be polite, and subjects equally of interest, but losing focus on what transdisciplinarity was supposed to be, opposite disciplines. You still have to have something of a discipline, and you can't just talk about, well, knowledge, yes, in general, one would like to do that, but so the essential part is focus. And I begin to wonder about the size of this conference as well. These are just the thoughts off the top of my head. I haven't prepared anything, but I like the idea that cross-disciplinary and transdisciplinary work, synthetic work, should find somehow an emphasis in the S. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, it is clear. This is what I wrote like before in the program of the conference. I wrote a little bit longer note introducing this discussion. And I was saying that setting free information, study of information, doesn't mean to lose discipline. Now we have to look for synthesis, but synthesis is not putting in one bag everything, but to find some framework for this. So I totally agree with you. Thank you very much for putting emphasis on this. Maybe we'll go to discussion in engaging the audience after we will have like, some presentations of ideas from panelists. So I will go back. So Mark Bergin is on the second on the list. So Mark, could you please express your view?
Okay, I would prefer at first to listen to other panelists and then to present my view. Can you hear me?
We can see and hear you, but I understand that you want to share your screen because there's no sharing of screen.
No, I'm not sharing screen.
Oh, no, okay, okay. We can see you and we can hear you.
So I suggested that I would listen at first to other panelists, and then I will
That you want, okay, okay,
my approach.
okay. So in this case, I'm not sure, Jose Maria Diaz-Napria, Jose informed me at the beginning that he may have problem with connection. Jose, are you present?
Yes, I'm present. Can you hear me
Okay,
well?
so please, yeah, I can hear you.
So I'm very sorry because I know that the sound may be bad, but I cannot help it. So in order to facilitate, I have made a presentation, but I'm not sure. So you can help me. So how can I share it? It's just by sharing the screen. Yeah, maybe so. Okay. Yeah.
No, please.
Going to do so. If I find what the proper screen is. Yeah.
Zoom is slow, so it's just preparing.
Can you see my?
Not yet, not yet. It is preparing because it says that you
Takes a
start the screen sharing, but I don't see it.
Is it possible to see?
We have to wait.
We have to wait. Usually it takes about all. It will be coming soon. Still not visible.
Still not visible. Yes, I imagine. It's
Okay.
working.
Yeah, now I can see.
Is it visible or not?
It is visible, but not. Can you make full screen
Or in presentation mode.
or presentation mode? Because
Actually, yes, I am in presentation mode, but for some reason maybe it's not what is being said. So I'm going to go back. Maybe. Let's see. So as I said, I'm not sure whether so the connection that I have, and at this moment I'm still in a good position because so people are still not in business. No? So again,
well, now I can see well.
can you see it well? So what is SI in IS4SI?
Yeah, now I can see well.
Because I have no camera, then I put my picture so that you remember how I look like. Which is in any case a kind of design it.
You're very smart.
So I did a design also of what I mean for developing a common understanding of information with a kind of metaphorical approach, which you can see there, and network. And this network had the structural properties that the that the infrastructure of the internet has, and many other systems in nature had those properties. But at the same time, it has other properties that I may like to mention. As you see, there are many points that are disconnected, and this is also something that happens today in the infosphere. So I want to give some ideas of what is my idea of how can we go forward in order to foster a solid so information studies or the studies of information as Martin has proposed. So I have I think we are in a position which is kind of similar to what happened in the 19th century with physics. They didn't have a concept for energy, and they strived to do it, and it took kind of a long time, but when they did it, it was one of the greatest results of the development of physics in the 19th century. So similar to energy, so we need to have also a good ground. So today, for developing a transversal understanding of information in energy, it was a transversal understanding for different disciplines within physics. But what we need in the case of information, it's even broader. So we want to go beyond only the physical nature. We want to refer the multifarious aspects of nature. And in order to do that, so the information studies need to have a good connection to reality and to the real problems. So here is again the same picture, and this picture I took. So the structural properties, as I mentioned, of the internet. So with the similar degree of connectivity at a given level, but I have shown at the same time so those disconnected points, and I think this is important also. In my opinion, so if we really want to connect it to reality, we need to have a kind of a good terrain to do it. And I think so the network and the system so provide a good connection to reality. We have seen in the past decades that the network science has provided a successful, very successful approach to deal with complex problems, and I think we have the opportunity to implement and to refer and to consolidate this capacity of the network, and also in relation with system that has also succeeded in the development of developing so transdisciplinary settings. And it's the fact that when we use networks to map reality and to map real problems, so if, the interaction between the nodes is what we can map. So with information can be understood as such thing. So information when one agent is informing another agent, when one node is informing another agent, is interacting. So these interactions enable us to deal with problems of any kind. So abstracting the nature of the nodes, or abstracting the nature of the generalized agent that has a capacity to act, so therefore to interact. And then we can refer to physical, to biological, to human, and technical. And I think this is well established, and this is kind of a robust ground. So also to illustrate, we can use so again, so the network perspective in which information can be embedded, and is one fundamental part because it's what constitutes the network itself. In order to refer well to the complex reality, we can refer to the multi-level networks. So we of course need to provide a good interplay with other fundamental elements of reality. What I'm showing here are so the social system. The social system may have agents. The agents interact. The social system itself is defined by an inner side and an outer side, by a frontier. So we have a biospherical environment. but the social system is using, like right now we are using the digital network to connect the different nodes. So we have an information level that enable the social system to deploy. But we also need matter supply, and we need energy supply, so we can use also the network in this multi-level perspective. So to map the transport network, the production and food distribution network, the water supply network, the production and energy network, so the energy supply network. So altogether, we can really deal with very, very complex problems, and this is something that is actually needed, and the international institutions are looking forward. But one point also to connect that I think is important in order to build up a solid background for dealing with problems is also to consider the system. So I think the network is not enough in order to deal with the different issues. In problems like, for example, the origin of life, as we have seen. So the network provides the starting point, but the frontier, the establishment of the frontier, so that means the consolidation of a system with an inner part that interact with more effectively. So we can use the network in order to see how the systems emerge, but we need also to consider the system. So I think within the interplay to reality, we need the network, we need also the emergence to the system, and we need the system. So I think this interplay is important. While dealing with social issues, we have been developing also something that I consider important and that reflects many of the problems that we are dealing today in the information society, or in the global information society, which is, of course, is very far to be sustainable, and it has so many people that it's disconnected, and it has taken kind of a structure that is too central. So too much data is being collected, and it's being used for only some specific purposes, and this is not usually so. It doesn't provide, or it doesn't answer well to the issues of the communities, of the peoples, and so on. So the structure that has developed in concerning, so the network is kind of a star-like network, and Althusius has deal in the 16th century with that, developing the concept of subsidiarity, and from that we have developed a model of cyber subsidiarity. So I have dealt with these issues in some contributions. Actually, in Gothenburg we speak about that, and with Wolfgang, we also work in a model to provide an idea of how ICTs may connect global citizens, and how can we deal with global problems to develop a sustainable, global sustainable information society, in which the persons, so the individual, and the communities, and the families, the countries, cities, and so on, are connected to each other, and they are immersed in the ecosystem, and they can, at any level, they can really deal with their issues, because the relevant information percolates to the proper level in order to solve the issue. So again, the point is about information. So information is what enables us to interact properly with each other and with the environment. And I think we need kind of a robust tool in order to establish the information studies. So one of the things we have been also working in, and I think it may help, So it is the development of a conceptual terrain that is more solid, that is more consolidated, that is better integrated with the problems. And in order to do that, the information, so the IS4SI has been part of a project that we are still developing to develop up. So to have a platform in which we discuss and we refine the concepts like the information system network. So all the many concepts actually, there are thousands of concepts that we are considering that they need to interact with each other. Actually, they interact, they are defined. And in order to have such a platform to facilitate the development of a transdisciplinarity in information studies, so we have collected, yes, so the International Encyclopedia of Systems and Cybernetics that was developed from Charles François in several decades of work, the Principia Cybernetica by Heuligen and others, and the Glossarium Vitri, which is a small thin in comparison to the others, and the GlossaLab platform collected and put it using MediaWiki technology, but utilizing nevertheless so the common procedures of peer review, so edition of the contents. So this is the schema of the project that contains several levels. So it has technical level that is just about the establishment of these platforms and tools that intends not only so for the establishment. By the way, I haven't mentioned, it's not only just to discuss and to have kind of an encyclopedia of that, but also something that is being intended in the international arena for the development of transdisciplinarity and interdisciplinarity is the qualification. So we also intend and work and have done it. So for the evaluation of how well integrated the knowledge is. So there is no established way to qualify interdisciplinarity or transdisciplinarity, as Joseph has mentioned before. In that conference, we can see things that are very well done and other things that are kind of too weak. So we have beyond this theoretical level of clarifying concepts, we have the meta-theoretical level of evaluating knowledge. And at the same time, we have the organizational level of structuring a sustainable management based on the cyber subsidiarity model. So, and this is how we organize the contents, and this is the platform that if anyone is interested, actually this is right now is working, but not all the contents are present yet. So we are in the midst of the transference of the contents, but we have right now many contents, and it's working online. So thank you. That was just some ideas that I wanted to put forward as so that I think it may work to establish a more solid information studies or studies of information. Thank you very much.
Okay, Jose. I would like to ask you for clarification on, I think, the second slide you showed when you were talking about hierarchic organization and relation networks, and oh yeah, here the graph here in upper this maybe next one. You already showed this. Next
here.
Next. No, next.
Oh, no, next.
One more. Okay, here. So this upper corner graph, where you have hierarchical network and horizontal network, or is it just general symbolic? Because for me, immediately I could see something like center. And also I did not see loops between different levels, which
Yeah. Yes, I understand what you mean. Yes, it were central and it were hierarchical, it wouldn't be an horizontal network. But don't you see the dot points?
yeah, but dot points, it says horizontal network, means here what my concern is, do you exclude the possibility of cycles which are going in both directions, horizontal and vertical, and going back?
Yeah. So the here the point is that yeah, this I took this for a from a longer explanation of the problem. But it was that if we make clear of the dot points, then we would have a hierarchical network, right? That is a centralized network and is hierarchical. And when we have these dot points altogether, is what provides kind of cycles, and that provides and that closes the circle of interaction to deal with more specific issues. So the criticism is that in the hierarchical network, we may lack the opportunity to deal so to interact at a given level to deal with the specific issues.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make clear that I understand what. Thank you very much. Maybe I will we'll wait with like discussion after everyone is talking. Then we will ask the audience for more questions. So at this point, I thank you, and we have now Gordana. Gordana, could you please express your view of SI?
Thank you, Marcin, and thank you for asking this very important question. This is really something we started officially in a meeting in 2017, trying to put to the table all possible arguments for different names for the organization. And the problem is exactly as you say, and I have exactly the same experience, not only from my experiences at university, teaching in departments where it is computer science dominance, but also from one organization here in Europe, which is called Informatics Europe. You know, in Europe, you have the notion of informatics, which is covering both computing and information science and everything dealing with information. It is very broad. And in this organization, you can see again the same problem, that people from computing, advocating for formal methods, for programming languages, and so are dominant. And somehow those hard parts, as usually in science, you have hard parts which have high value, and then soft parts which are more methodology, philosophy, and so on. They are less visible and less valued. So when you even introduce broader thinking, including even arts and such things, then things become really complex. And how within the same organization communicate and coordinate understanding of all those different worldviews, methodologies, philosophies, approaches, everything. I think ecology is really a good idea. So Professor Zong has been publishing and working on those aspects of the problem, and he sees it as a nodes. It is similar to Jose Maria's idea of networks, and those networks have nodes which have something to contribute, which communicate and which change themselves also. So we have a process of changing the idea of science as well. So science is not today what it was before, and it will change even more, because we have such a possibility to communicate between sciences today, that this transdisciplinarity, interdisciplinarity, and the multidisciplinarity and so on is coming to the fore. So when we address a problem, a concrete real-world problem, we need all possible knowledge and approaches. So from this point of view of transdisciplinary approach to problem solving, you cannot avoid listening to all pieces of knowledge and all different points of view. So I think what Joseph said, it's really very important to not to make just gray goo of everything, but have those distinct points in networks which work for their part of the picture of the whole world, who communicate with each other, who form those loops, and all the time dynamically take in the world and change as we go. So I see this question as a really substantial one, and I would put the emphasis on the study of information. It is not information science, because this term is already occupied. It is not the information studies, because that is also academic discipline. It is really the study of information. And I think I will post the link in the chat. You will see the book that Mark Bergin and I published newly. And there is actually 2 books that we have been publishing recently in 19 and 20. This one is Philosophy and Methodology of Information, the study of information in the transdisciplinary perspective, where we are in the introduction really addressing all those aspects and all those questions which are really, really important in forming the study of information, because this is something that is emerging, that is what we are doing right now. It's nothing already existing, nothing permanent, nothing already formed, but we want to put things forward and to contribute to something completely new and fresh and adequate for today's science and knowledge in the sense of Wissenschaft. But it is not only Wissenschaft knowledge, but also knowledge in a broader sense. So I think Marcin and I have a special issue of philosophy's journal talking about addressing this problem of knowledge understand in much broader way than before. So we are working and developing all those notions as we go. And it is no wonder that there are conflicts, there are controversies, that's the part of dynamical development. So I think what we have been writing in those 2 books was exactly the attempt to understand where we are, how can we contribute in forming something completely new, which is the study of information. So that would be my contribution.
Thank you very much. I can only say that I agree with everything what you are saying. So the next person on the list is Wolfgang Hopfner. Wolfgang,
Yes.
Okay, so please.
Thank you. I hear you can hear me too, and you see me.
Yeah.
Yes.
I try to be short, and I must say that I can connect to every of my predecessors, so, of the speakers before me. And but let me go back first to your general question, where you asked also if you made you put it like a dichotomy between, on the one hand, study of information. It might be just a kind of integration of knowledge or so, on the one hand, and on the other hand, maybe there is, we need to fight the threats we face today in the global challenges. And I would say this is not an either or. You need both together. Why? Because if we want to fight the threats we have today, we need to integrate the knowledge we have, including the specialization. Otherwise, we cannot solve the problem challenges. So this is the short answer to this. And you asked also then, you asked Joseph when he talked about the synthesis, what is the framework for it? And Jose talked a little bit about, talked about this, how this could be with the networks and so on, and information as interaction. And Gordana talked now about the ecology, also with Yijin Song, who took the term. I agree to that, but I would like to say that I would like to show you something. I would like to remind you what we have in the statutes of our society. So maybe can I get the, yes, can I get the Belgium? Yes, it is here. Which is it? Oh God. Yeah, here it is. Given. It is an English translation, which is not so good. It is informal. But in Article 2 of our organization, there's general purpose, okay? And what is the general purpose? It is the promotion of global cooperation in the sciences of information technology, and the information society. Yeah, that's very important. These are the all areas in which information is there. And unfortunately, this is not a good translation as a separate area, but I would rather say this is what Gordana says, there's something new. We try to build a new study of information. This is a new, I would say, I would translate it in German, it is different. It would say it is a field in its own right. This is what we want to do. And so the elaboration of common concepts, the implementation of which in practice helps to solve global problems in the information age. That is, here we have together, we have, so to speak, anything in the ecology which is, which is about information is welcome and is needed here to solve our global problems, okay? And then I would like to draw your attention to the next sub-paragraph, the purpose in detail. There are 4, but only the first one. It is the implementation of theoretical basic research, be it in natural sciences, technology, social sciences, or human sciences, insofar as they deal with information. And now comes a hint to the framework. And for this purpose, the exploitation of transdisciplinarity and complexity. That is already in 2010 when we founded the organization, and I'm one of the 3 founding presidents of IS4SI. We had already this in mind, and this is what I would like to say. My personal opinion to this exploitation of transdisciplinarity and complexity is what I called, okay, I leave this now. Where is it? Where is it? Here it is. Stoppen. Okay, so, okay, now here I am again. So in 2013, I published this book, which I called Emergent Information. And in the subtitle, it was something like, you know, a unified theory of information framework. This is what I did. And these are 2, including 2 isms. The first is an emergent systemism. Emergence is very important because it is to say that there is no strict determinism. Maybe in technological, in the technological reality, you can find it, but these are machines. But if you are with agents and the universe is full of agents, then you have not a strict determinism, but you also have no indeterminism on the other hand. So Edgar Morin said it is chaosmos. It is chaos and cosmos in one. It is both. So this is the important thing. And therefore emergent systemism, which is you try to understand the evolution of our world, of the things, of the universe. And then you find the commonalities between natural information also and social information and so on. So this is very important. And the second thing was what I did in this was the CCC, that is you can differentiate information on into three levels: on the cognitive level, on the communicative level, and on the cooperative level. So there are three levels which are like a hierarchy, but it is not a hierarchy insofar as there is no strict determination. There are always feedback loops, and you don't know what each loop is. They are contingent, so to speak. And I have also I'm very thankful to Pedro. He made an together with Albert Igamberdiev, a special issue of biosystems on the evolutionary dynamics of social systems. And so I have written there an article in which in 2020 was this, in which I tried to figure out how this can be fleshed out. So this is what I wanted to say. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And now I will ask Pedro to express his view. Pedro?
Hello?
Yeah. Okay, you are now speaker means.
Okay. So, okay, do you see me well?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was trying to respond more or less to your points. First of all, that it is very pleasant to see all these faces. So many years working together, and I hope they will continue at least a few years more. Because we are years are passing very fast. Okay, I was trying to respond, and my first point was that I don't feel very comfortable with the terms of great synthesis. Somehow every major discipline is a big synthesis, is an important synthesis. And what I find very interesting, very curious, very attractive in our field in our study of information, and I may make it not so different from information science, but it's a matter of terms. What I find very, very interesting is that we are an enormously influential, multidisciplinary, and so to speak, this is like, if we think on information science, we have a nucleus of information science which is in complete disarray, but we have an enormous aureola of influence in many, many, many fields. And every major discipline has its nucleus well organized, well synthesized, with analytical and synthetic tools, and also has its aureola of influence and influences. We are always, in a world of knowledge, we are always playing multidisciplinary works, tasks, because the problems of life, of social life, of natural, our problems in nature always demand a lot of disciplines. But somehow the task of this pretended information science would be relevant, very relevant, in the sense that it has special connotations. The great pity and the great challenge is that this nucleus is not arranged yet. I mean, just listening to our presentations and reading our works, it is clear. And I want to make a big warning that every field of knowledge is limited, is specialized and fragmentary, and it is social. And so we have to make like puzzle making. We have to bring fragments of knowledge continuously, both individually and socially, for many of the problems I was talking about. But we do it by pragmatics. I mean, when you are, for instance, in a research group, you have to say, okay, I need a biophysicist, I need a physicist, I need a molecular. Why? It is your pragmatics. But also socially, it is pure pragmatics. If we look at the European Union, how do you organize the big research plans? Even worse than pragmatics. I mean, it is pork barrel work. I was amazed by this economist, Mariana Mazzucato, that was very, very influential in the new research program of the European Union, with terrible simplified ideas, but very, very attractive for bureaucracy. So my point is that our world of knowledge needs the balance between different disciplines. And unfortunately, a major discipline, in my view, that should be information science, is not capable of exerting its influence, of rationalizing, of bringing good ideas for multidisciplinary combination, how knowledge flows, what are the limitations of individuals that should be overcome, the limitation of the different senses. And in some occasions, I have cited a medieval thinker, Ramon Llull. In his time, he proposed that all the world of knowledge should be interrelated, and he was calling ars magna, the great art. And it was, he made some rotating boards, so to arrange all the knowledge of his time, and he built many boards, putting together theology, the natural knowledge of his time. But it was a very, very charming view of the general interrelation, and he was playing it mechanically with boards. But now, in my view, we have to make that seriously, paying attention to the circulation of information, to the limits of our individual processing capability, to what institutions mean, to the social information flows, to the biological information flows. And this is, I mean, if we arrange the core, the nucleus of social science, and this is the big challenge for many of us, I think that some of the problems and the things and the inconvenience we find will get automatically solved in very few years. And I was trying to respond to your point on what kind of context could we suggest for the influence, for the teaching influence of information science. I was making a list of themes, and somehow the social history of information is fascinating, and it could be one of the topics for teaching, but there are many, many others. And then I was trying to make order. In the nucleus to consolidate, we have a very loose relationship between very generalized confusion between the metrics of information, the processing of information, the meaning of information, the contents, the value, the notion of information flows, which is, I haven't seen it very well conceptualized anywhere, even in biology. There is no clear notion of information flows. It's finally making sense that intelligence and information are terribly interrelated. Without intelligence, you don't have information flows. Without information flows, you don't have intelligence. I mean, we can talk about artificial intelligence, natural intelligence, and social intelligence. And these three, it could be also, if you prefer, social information, biological information, and formal information, so to speak. But I think that the idea of three branches of intelligence, artificial intelligence, natural intelligence, and social intelligence, may represent very well in a very economic way, in a very synthetic way, as Brenner was emphasizing, may represent the challenge we have to conform. I think that the big problem of putting together the metric, the processing, the content, the meaning, the value, the structures of intelligence and information flows also involves the typical notion of a Shannon, Bayes, von Neumann, Vannevar Bush. There was also a presenter in the first FIS conference. He was called Carvalho Rodriguez. He made extremely interesting points about social information. And I have realized recently that he was making really a point that in that time we didn't understand him. And so I will try to argue in next discussions that we have to also symmetry in the interrelation of the nuclear in the core, in the formal core of this discipline. But I will try to argue that the notion, do you remember the triune brain by Paul MacLean, that we have the reptilian brain, the mammalian brain, because it is something like that. We have the artificial intelligence, the natural intelligence, and the social intelligence. And you can realize that they are terribly interrelated. When we go now to some of the current problems of artificial intelligence in the relationship with society, is that we don't have clear notions of what's social intelligence and how the artificial intelligence may interact. And also, I have, in natural intelligence, I think there is a big challenge that we could contribute somehow. It is the problem of the lack of a central theory of information processing of human brain. I mean, this is terrible. This is terrible because it is psychology, psychiatry, many social disciplines are left sort of out of a firm basis. And it also, the problem of emotions are not well conceptualized, are not well understood. And then when we have social networks and artificial intelligence, blah, 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 this is a disaster because they provoke, they trigger social epidemics of emotional cliques, etc., etc. And to my dismay, I have realized that the main scientific journals are getting more and more, not, do you remember Newton on the shoulder of giants, but depending on the avalanches of cliques. I mean, the influence of social networks in our common endeavors of science is getting bigger and bigger. The editorials of Nature and Science are awful, awful. I mean, you have pages on racism, on Me Too, on inclusion, on blah, blah, blah. Well, why? Because it is the new influence of all the artificial the artificial in the social without a clear understanding. And well, I think these were my topics, maybe not well organized, but I think that we have tools to say interesting things for teaching, for it is a challenge we have to confront in next years, to organize better our formal core and to project our ideas into try to influence society. And the ars magna of knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, actually, all contributions are like stimulating for much longer discussion. Unfortunately, we are approaching end of our time, so I would like to ask now Mark Bergin, who wanted to talk last. Mark, can you now?
Yes, I'm here and I'm ready to discuss this interesting and important topic. But I would like to share screen with you. Let me try to do this
Yes, please.
properly.
Okay, now we can see it.
Hello, can you see?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So I would like to attract once more attention to sound efficient foundations for science of information or information science or information studies or studies of information, because the foundations have to be the same. And what we have, let's look at this citation. The glib freedom with which we use the word information would lead one to suppose that we know what we are talking about. Alas, not so. In a field that concerns itself with information processing, it is remarkable, if not embarrassing, that there is still, after 40 years, no generally accepted, coherent definition of information to underwrite the enterprise. It was written in 1988. And what we have, the next 30 years brought only more controversies and disagreement, but not understanding. So I'm speaking about the concept information. And here was an argument that physicists have such concept, very important concept, very important phenomenon as energy, but they also don't have a general definition of energy accepted by all physicists. However, this analogy is not valid because physics is not science or study of energy. Physics is a study of material world or material things. And with respect to this, physicists have very good models of material things, of matter. On the lowest level, all material things are composed from subatomic particles and physical fields. Then on the next level, we have atoms and still physical fields. And levels go, physicists have models for all these levels of matter. And in information science or science of information, we don't have anything that is even close to this very well constructed hierarchy with good mathematical descriptions, with many laws that allow prediction of physical processes, that allow to discover new particles, to discover new fields, to build new system, to develop technology. We don't have this in information science or studies of information, whatever you call this. And the problem is even deeper, because I would like to say even the majority does not understand the difference between information as a phenomenon, information representation, information carrier, and information measure. For example, what Shannon suggested is information measure, but people still call it Shannon's information. This is only one example of this confusion and this misunderstanding, but all of us know many such examples, and unfortunately, even this essential difference, maybe vital difference for the discipline, is not well understood. I will discuss this and explain how it can be differentiated in my tomorrow evening's talk, because it's the second session, materialization and idealization of information, or the grand illusion, because still in the, let's call it, the community of information scientists, there is a grand illusion about information. And I would like to conclude, not to take too much time now, because we are coming to the end of this discussion, to tell you once more that the general theory of information offers sound and efficient foundations for information studies, science of information, studies of information, and information theory. And you know, with a good basement, the building can survive in the earthquake, while with a bad basement, the building collapses without any external input. So this is what I wanted to tell.
Okay, thank you very much, Mark. We are formally approaching end, actually we already approached end of the time, but if you can stay a little bit longer, I would like to give chance to ask questions from the audience. So please, if you can stay, please stay, and I would like to ask whether there are any questions from the audience to panelists. Okay, since I don't see questions from the audience and I don't want to prolong our meeting, I would like to thank you very much. I think each of contributions are basically beginnings of new and important discussions. I did not expect that we can find solution to all problems which we have, but I think your contributions are very important for the reflection on these issues. And I hope that there will be opportunity to continue this discussion on the issue what should be the SI in IS4SI. So thank you very much for your contributions. And then this will end our first block of plenary sessions. Today, there will be next one, and it will be TFP, or I call it TFPI, Theoretical and Foundational Problems of Information Studies, and which Mark Bergin is chairing this, but it will be from 13 UTC. 13 UTC is six hours from now. In the meantime, there are already some sessions of contributing conferences. You can look at the website for information. But for plenary sessions, we are meeting in 6 hours. Okay. Once again, thank you very much for your expressions of your reflection on the issues which are fundamental for IS4SI, and see you in next sessions of the summit. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcin, for organizing all this.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank
and
you.
Martin, I ask all of you to thank Martin. So
Thank you.
let's in the
Thank you
usual
very much.
way,
Thank you very much.
clapping on the door. So Martin, thank you very much. Domo, dziękuję
Thank
bardzo.
you. Thank you very much.
Cudownie. Cieszę się bardzo. Yeah, thank you very
Thanks.
much. It was indeed
Thanks.
great. Great start,
Thanks.
and let's continue in such a great way. Thank you, Martin.
Thank you.